Hello, welcome back to How to RPG, and today it's all about world building. So I'm going to do a presentation like I always do. I'm going to put up a poll so that you can respond to that. Feel free to correspond with me, communicate in the live chat. I recommend that you do. This is far more interesting if you do that. I will have, as always, we're going to do a presentation first, and after the presentation, we're actually going to build a world, and you are going to build the world with me. In fact, you're going to do most of the work. So if you're not used to world building, you're going to be doing some of it today, okay? Usually this presentation is, well, it's not too long. It's not too long. Anyway, I'm just about ready to go. And make sure you've got some food, some drink. Make sure you're comfortable. Hopefully my voice holds up. It is winter here in New Zealand, and so I sort of struggle sometimes in the winter seasons. But hopefully my voice doesn't crack too much. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about role-playing games. This is Game Master Preparation. This is Lesson 8, World Building. That's right, you can actually build a world. We're going to do that. If you have never done it before, I'm going to walk you through the steps that I use. And this is designed to do this very quickly, so you can get it done. I would say it'll take you less than an hour and a half to get it all done. Okay, it won't be complete because world building never really ends. In any case, the overview for today. Sources of world building. Where can we get our different ideas from? Mapping the world, naming the world and the continents, world creation stories, choosing gods and goddesses or deities, developing the world locations, developing the world's governments, determining the world and magic and technology, creating species or races, monster populations, and then of course miscellaneous recommendations. Now, like everything I do on my channel, I intend to explain how to build and create your own world for your role-playing game or your game group. I'm also going to demonstrate how to build a world for a role-playing game. We're going to do that today. And then I'm going to allow you to practice that process. So we're going to actually build it together. We're not going to do it. It's not just me. It's also about you and what you have to bring to the party. And you have lots of ideas. Believe it or not, you can do this. Okay. Sources of world building. What are some of the sources of world building that you can use in your game? Right. So build the world from your personal experience. It's always the best place to start. You've got plenty of experience. You can do this. It is not beyond you. Anything that you've ever encountered, ever seen, you've ever heard about, you can use when you're creating your own fantasy world or even a science fiction world. It doesn't matter. You can do this. It's possible. Also, modify history for your fantasy or your science fiction world. Take elements. If you do a bit of research on history, you'll find lots of very peculiar things. History is, sometimes it's hard to make this stuff up. It actually happened. So history is very useful. Steal from popular culture like Middle Earth and the Land of Oz, Narnia, and whatever a world or ideas that have come from some other piece of fiction that you like. Use those ideas, incorporate it. And then lastly, like you can pull ideas from lots of different places, but your player input. If you can get your players to actually present you with different ideas from their backstory, you know, if they have a desire to write a backstory for their player character, then let that be incorporated into the game if you can. You don't have to incorporate everything, but you can incorporate some of it. And one of the first things you might want to do is incorporate the village or town or city that their character came from. If they've made up the name of the village or town, then use that. That's your first starting point. Now, when we come with the idea that, okay, the sources of our ideas have to be a certain way, we wind up eventually coming to the point, well, hang on, we're dealing with a world. Even if I do that, I've still got to map the world. And in fact, it's actually not as hard as you might think. I know a lot of people always get scared by the idea of mapping a world, but it's not that hard. You can draw the world for your role-playing game. It can be achieved a few different ways. You could simply pick up a piece of white paper, say A4 size or larger, and scribble on that page with a pen or a pencil a few wiggly lines or shapes, and that's your continents. That's it. You've got your world roughed out very quickly. You just need to put a name on that thing, and we're going to deal with that very shortly. But you have essentially drawn a map of your world. It's not intricate, it's not pretty, but it's the beginning. Okay. You can also use software programs that allow you to customize maps to be drawn in detail. So they actually draw it for you. They're like generators, in fact. But you can also use software that will allow you to customize. You can take your quick pencil drawing that you've done, or pen drawing, on a piece of blank paper, and you can take it and you can port it into your software, take that, and then build on it from there. Filling in the details for the map. Why not just use a real map? There are plenty of maps out there that have been made over the years that are sections of the real world that you could use for your own world map, whether it be fantasy or science fiction. All you're doing is potentially maybe changing a few names, but the general layout and the map itself is there. You can use a real world map. It has lots of detail. It solves a lot of your problems. And also, as I had mentioned before, random generators can make up maps. You dial in a few set parameters, you press a button, and bam, you have yourself a world map if you're not worried about having fine control of the creative process. That's all fine too. Those are ways of actually getting it done. Okay? Right, naming the world. I was talking about naming the world. How do we go about naming a world? Well, first off, what is the name of your world or continents? That's your first question, right? You'll probably think, okay, so if I've got a drawing of it, which I don't even have to have a map initially, if all I want to do is have just the name of the world, I could just start there. But does the world or the continent need a name? Do you really need to provide a world name or the continent names? Are they even going to know that there are continents? Your player characters may not even be aware of that. You don't even have to initially deal with that straight away. You've actually been exposed to different concepts around world names through history and pop culture. And one of the things you'll find is you'll probably find it pretty easy to come up with a world name. And even if you don't come up with a world name that you like, or you're having trouble coming up with one, just ask your players to name the world. Some players will say, no, you should be doing that. And other players will say, sure, no problem, I think it's called this. And the other thing is, even if you get a couple of names that you don't particularly like, or you're not too sure what to do with them, and you can't decide which one to narrow it down to, or what the continents are going to be called, here's the thing. The same world, and even continents of a world, but the same world will often have many different names across different civilizations. So it means that every single character at your table might potentially have a different name for the world, and it would still be correct. That's the great thing about this. It means you can incorporate the name that you have created and the name that your player characters have created. Now, if you're thinking, okay, well, Fred, that still doesn't get me past the fact that I've got to come up with a name. There are world name generators online. They work perfectly fine. You press a button, you spit it out. All you need to write down is the word world name generator into Google, and it'll pop up. You'll find something, easy peasies. So that's not hard to do. So there's lots of places we can get it from. That's sort of the first steps, but we need to start getting into a bit more detail now. And I'm going to suggest to you that probably the next step would be the world creation story. Why the world creation story? Because everything revolves around the world creation story. Mythology, legend, you're dealing with fantasy. If you want a history to your world, the easiest way is to start with a world creation story. And you might even have more than one world creation story. We're talking about world creation stories in many cases. So what is the world creation story that you have in mind for your world? No one really knows what the world creation story is. They're only theories, they're only myths and legends, as I had mentioned. Anyone can make it up. In fact, not just the game master. Your player characters can come up with their own idea of how the world was created. Now, one of the things you'll notice is that many cultures have different world creation stories in the real world. So you can do the same thing for your fantasy world, which actually makes it seem much more realistic by having multiple world creation stories, particularly if they're related to different cultures. But beside the point, you still need to figure out what it's going to be. So what I've gone is I've put down a list of the different types of world creation stories, essentially, that you can use and it's just a simple process of modifying these basic ideas. So the first one is the world is created by a supreme being of some kind. This is kind of like Christianity. We've come across this before, where there's one supreme being that creates the world in whatever way. There's also the world emerging over a long period of time as an evolution or a metamorphosis that it occurs. So it might morph into something else from an existing form. So that's another way of creating your world. You can have two primal super beings. This is the mother and the father. They get together, they birth the world into creation. Another one is the world hatching from a cosmic egg laid by some sort of deity or god or goddess. You can have two companion gods represented by good and evil, and in one of them will be diving into a water source to pull the world into existence. This is very common amongst the Pacific Islanders. Next, and lastly, the world transformed, or gods transformed, the corpse of a dead god or a dead giant into a world that currently exists. These are generally the formats, the types of stories that world creation stories are built around. It's going to be one of these in some form. So that's what you start with. You decide which one you like, and then you just have to build the elements around that from there. Now that we've talked about the world creation story, you're probably thinking, hang on, I haven't got any gods or goddesses. Well, let's deal with that. How can we make that easy for you? Gods and goddesses. Who are the deities in your world? That's your question. Ask the player characters who they worship. They can make them up themselves. You can add them and incorporate them into your world. Again, use the players when you can. You actually know tons of gods and goddesses from history, mythology, folklore that you can select. You can select something and incorporate it into your game. I know some people say that is just cultural appropriation. It's a bad thing. Everything in some way has been appropriated at some point. So let's get past this and just remember that even the Romans and their mythology and pantheon was taken from the Greeks, and the Greeks' pantheon was taken from somewhere else. So everybody's taken from somewhere at some point. Okay, you're just another little step, a little speck along that pathway. So yeah, if you feel it's an issue, fine. Stealing from fantasy. Steal and borrow from fantasy, science fiction, Dungeons and Dragons lore. Pick something. There's usually pantheons or lists of gods and goddesses of how they work that you can use. Okay. I'm also going to suggest some of the pantheons from other cultures, like Norse mythology, the Norse gods, the Egyptian gods, the Greek gods, the Celtic gods, the Roman gods, the Aztec gods, the Hindu gods, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Korean. Pick something that works for you. But there's also a number of IPs out there, or intellectual properties. These are fantasy pantheons. Galarion, I believe, is the Pathfinder one. We have the Forgotten Realms, we have Greyhawk, we have Dragonlance, we have Eberron, we have Mystara, and there are many, many more. We have Midgard. Plenty of options for you to go and pinch and borrow from somewhere else if you need to. Remember, you're not publishing this, you're creating it for your own home group. And then you're thinking, well, hang on, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to just steal and just plug all these different deities together. I want to kind of change them up a bit. Well, reverse the names or slightly adjust them. Slightly adjust the details around that deity or god or goddess. And you've got something new. It's as simple as that. It's not that hard. It's really quite easy. Okay, world locations. Let's move on to some of the more detailed aspects of your world creation. So things like locations, these are landmarks, settlements, cities. In fact, does your world have cities and settlements? Do they have villages and towns? Maybe it's just not that developed. There's many places around the world that you have seen that you can poach and adjust as your group plays the game. You don't even have to have all of this figured out in advance. You can do this as you go. The only thing you really need is a starting location in your world. That might be a village, a town, a city. It might be just an area of the world. Like it might be just a forest. It might be as simple as that. You've got a starting point. somewhere on that map that you've scribbled in about 30 seconds. Where did the player characters come from? Use the village or town that they have created in their backstory as a way of making this work. What about using your own hometown or city or village and modifying it? Like your own personal hometown, village, hamlet, whatever it is, city. Actually use the real thing because you know it so well and modify it. You can retain a lot of it, and like nobody's going to be the wiser in many cases. Okay, and it's your own now. It's actually much more your own because you live there. You're part of that. You're part of that environment. You're part of those people. You can also find quite a lot of information on the Game Master or Game Mastery Guide for Pathfinder First Ed Edition. It's full of location information if you needed charts and tables to give you ideas. And then most Dungeon Master Guides have a wealth of ideas that you can steal from, but the D&D 5e one, you'll find a bunch of stuff in there as well. I'm going to recommend considering looking at something like Advanced Dungeons & Dragons First Ed Edition. It has some pretty good stuff in there. I would say the rest of the books that I've come across over the years either tend to be essentially a reproduction of older versions of D&D or somebody else's property anyway, but those ones are pretty good. These are the ones I actually have, so I've actually looked at them so I can talk to them. Okay, so world locations. Next, what about the world government? Who's in power? This is our next problem in question. Who or what is the government or power in the world? So you deal with government every single day of your life. This should be very easy for you to figure out. It should not be hard for you to figure out at all. So there are different types of civilizations. Since you have a pretty good idea of how governments work, you should be able to pick one that's suitable for what you want. Now you can have different governments in different locations of your world, but you're really only starting with one location to begin with, so you only need to have one government. You just need to decide what it is and then call it something. That's it. Do you need to know what it is? Well, here are a list broken down. There are plenty of books out there that give you sort of detailed lists of the types of different governments, but if you boil them all down, they all come down to essentially just a few. You have your monarchy, which is ruled by a single sovereign leader who is limited by law and serves the citizens. This might be a king or a queen. Okay, this is the monarchy. You know what that is. Okay, feudal system. Next, democracy. So if you live in a place that is a democracy, you probably understand the idea of elected representatives that the citizens will vote into power. And so this is a democracy. So you could build it like that. You can have an oligarchy, which is a government formed by a few persons or a family. And the best way to describe this is tribal. This is kind of like a tribal society. Authoritarianism. So authoritarianism is opposed to individual freedom of thought and action by a central leader. It's a dictatorship. Pretty clear what that is. And then the last one is a theocracy. It is ruled by priests, the church, temples, or agents of the deities, gods, and goddesses, or god or goddess that is ruling that area or is part of that world. Okay? Very not a common one to come across, but certainly another option. And again, the Game Mastery Guide for Pathfinder First Ed Edition has a lot of information in that book on this area. But even more, if you go back to something like the Dungeon Master Guide for 5e, you'll find quite a lot of different variations of the same things I just talked about. So if you want to have a variation, you can, but these are essentially, if you boil it all down, this is what you get. Okay, so we've got the government done. Now we need to actually populate it a little bit. Our world species, whether you call it species, races, ancestries, I don't care, but you decide what that needs to be. What are the species and races in your world? And you're going to make a list, and you're going to keep it simple. So the player characters haven't actually encountered all of the species and races yet, so you don't have to actually create all of them or decide on all of them straight away. Just pick a few that you know from fantasy fiction or create your own, and you do the rest later on. Okay, I always say start with about 5. A handful of species or races from a role-playing game book that you're using for whatever system is probably going to be good enough. So you can modify real-world animals and create your own fantasy species and races. It's very easy to do. Next, we want to do some magic. We want to get some magic going. Like if you've got a fantasy world, you're going to have magic. If you don't have a fantasy world, you won't be dealing with magic. Does the world that you have created have magic? And how does it work? You don't have to answer all these questions. All you need to decide is there magic in this world or there's no magic in this world? Really, this question kind of cracks me up because one of the things about how magic works is, well, magic is magic. It's mysterious. It's amazing. Really don't have too many answers. It's kind of left a little blank. That's why it's called magic. Are you dealing with a high level of magic in your world or a low level of magic in your world? Are there magic shops? Now, if there's any question you need to answer before you get going, is this, because your player characters, your players are going to ask you this as soon as they start exploring your world, is where can I go and buy magic items? Where are the magic shops? You may not get this, but I can assure you it's probably more likely than not that that's the first question they're going to wind up asking. Okay, so decide, do you have them? Do you not? What are they like? Is magic connected to technology? Is magic separate from technology, or is it connected in some way? Can the dead be brought back to life using magic? Is transportation able to be achieved by teleportation or not? Are there types of magic, and what are those types of magic? What are the restrictions of the magic in your world? These are all questions that at some point you want to try and answer if you can. Now, I was talking about technology before, and let's move on to technology. We had magic, now we need technology. This is probably what trips people up the most, and that is, what technology does the world have? You actually know a lot about different types of technology from your life experience and your schooling, so you should be able to manage this. But if you are unsure about the progression, I'm going to give you a progression that you can work from, and then you can build out from there. So if we start off at sort of very minimal technology, creating fire for energy would be the first step, possibly, for your technology or your range. That's at the very bottom. The next one would probably be creating a mechanism like a windmill, a mechanical mechanism that moves, okay, using wind power to actually power something and operate something. Then you were dealing with steam-powered engines where you heat up a boiler and the steam from the water actually powers an engine. Next, we have burning fossil fuels as fuel, so burning fossils to create some sort of explosion inside a mechanical motor or machine, and that's what creates the power. Now, you're familiar with this because we use that right now. There's also solar power energy capture, so using the energy, the radiation from the sun, capturing it and using it and storing it for later on. There's electrical energy generation that can be stored for later use, and electrical energy generation can be created many different ways. You can use it. You can use that from wind power. You can use steam power. You can generate it from burning fossil fuels. Okay, you can generate electricity from solar energy. You can generate it from the breakdown of plant matter. You can actually generate it from a chemical reaction. If you combine something together, there's many different ways to generate electricity. Next is storing radiation from atomic energy. So where you're using the energy from the atomic subatomic particles. And then lastly, on our grid or hierarchy of technology, the last one, probably one of the most advanced ones, would be biological technology, where you have the ability to actually control and manipulate biological organisms to create new technology. That would probably be the last one along your list. Okay, we were talking about technology, and we need to talk about monsters. Why? Because really a fantasy world or a science fiction world is nothing without a monster population. So what are the monsters that we deal with? What are the monsters in your world? That's your first question. You don't have to write them all down, by the way, people. Everyone will find out as the campaign is played, including the game master. So you don't have to have a complete list. Select a few creatures from any kind of monster book or monster manual that you're using for your game system. And pick the ones that you like, the ones that you think are going to be interesting. Pick even ones that you know that your player characters, if you have players and they've made it clear there's certain monsters they would really like to see in your world, then maybe you include those. Take inspiration from movies about monsters to populate your world. Use books on fiction, novels to fuel your imagination. You can even create your own monsters. You can even steal somebody else's idea. And surprisingly, and you may not be aware of this, but I'm going to point it out, you can draw from real world biology. Some of the real life creatures that actually exist in our current world are so bizarre, strange, and monstrous in their nature that you can probably put them into a fantasy world or a science fiction world and they will seem very alien, because there are some pretty out there creatures that exist or did exist that are now extinct. You can also look at some of the more obscure archaeological research that's been done, because a lot of their ideas essentially seem like monsters. They seem like a hoax. There's so many different bits of information floating around there about how our world evolved, and some of the I guess the more obscure archaeology has some really interesting ideas about the kinds of creatures that used to exist, and you can use them in your own game as well. Right, now you might think, is that it? Well, actually, that's probably enough. You probably got enough to get going. Like, you probably don't need to do too much more. I mean, adding more to it, you could do, but this is probably good enough to get you going. If you have something like that, you're probably ready to make it happen. Now, I always like to give some miscellaneous recommendations when I run this program, and that is, like, just make some sort of world quickly. Get it started. There's so many people who never get anything done. They spend months and months, maybe even years, creating a world, and they never actually present it to a group. And you're really never finished creating a world sometimes. It's always going to continue to grow, okay? Remember, you are not a god. You are not an omnipotent, omnipresent being who is going to be able to create every single thing you could possibly imagine. Just get it done. Get a piece of paper, squiggle some lines on there, make up some consonants, chuck a name on it, and just get going. And you just need to put a little dot on there, and this is where we start. Okay? What is the plot of your campaign? I know a lot of people start thinking about, what's the plot of my campaign? What's the story of my campaign? What are they trying to achieve? That is not world building. That is creating adventures. Don't let that get you sidetracked, okay? That's a totally different area. Just deal with the actual world it is you're dealing with first, and then deal with things like plot and campaign stories. This is not a novel. You're not creating a movie. The plot will unfold, and again, it's not world building. The plot unfolds as the players play the game. It's not required as part of world building. World building is something else. Now, the last thing I want to say to you, and that is, no one knows the truth about anything, okay? Even your own home world that you've created. Because of the passage of time, because of people's bias. So you don't need to worry about something not quite fitting or wanting to change things later on. Because the truth is not always known. It is always by perspective. And since the world operates this way, you can do the same thing with your own creation. So if you don't like something, some things will just be discovered to be false as your players play through your world. And other things will be confirmed, or some things will just remain unknown completely. I'm hoping that this was useful to you. I'm hoping that this gets you to actually just get your own world made. Okay, you can do this in a very short space of time. Okay, sit down, it'll be done. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my patrons who support me every single week so I can run this program. All the best with your world creation. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Okay, so I know that took a little while to get through. I'm sure there's going to be lots and lots of ideas floating around in the chat. We're going to go and have a look at that right now, and then we're going to get started. Now, we don't have to make Planet of the Orcs, but I thought it would be fun, and the reason why I sort of went with that is because of Planet of the Apes. If anybody remembers the old movies, Planet of the Apes, I really like the idea of creating a world that used to be dominated by humans, but now is dominated by orcs. And the lesser, I guess you might say the lesser species on the planet is now the humans. And every other species is subservient to orcs, because orcs now rule. That's a rough world to work in, but it would be kind of fun too. So let's have a look at our chat. Have you created a world for your role-playing game? So 9 votes, and we got yes, 56%, no, 11%. Well, we've got to get that 11% up to back into the other category. We'll get you going. So we've got a few people who haven't finished. They're incomplete. Right, let's show you how fast you can make this happen then. The Cax Max. He's a touch scratchy. Yeah, my voice is a little bit whack because of the weather. You'd be surprised just how difficult I struggle to talk sometimes. It's it's almost a permanent thing. So yeah, I can't do much about that. How's it going, Shiner81? How are you? Dirt, my speakers are crappy, so I can't tell. But Fred did say he has a sore. Yeah, I have a lot of mucus as well, so that's what's going on. Greetings, everybody. How's it going, Noroak? Noroak is a patron. Welcome. You love orcs? Good, I'm glad to hear it. Fred Hubber, hello, how are you? The world is a speck of a divine being's dandruff and will end when it hits the ground. I love it. Fred, that's very clever. I used a map of a naval training centre as a dungeon map. Yes, absolutely. Great idea. Hello, Charles Butler. Charles is also a patron. Welcome. I found an OSE supplement that, so that's Old School Essentials supplement that gave a random table of governments to roll on. Pretty nice to spice things up. Yep. You honestly do not need to have that many because often they are just repeating the same thing. They just call something slightly different. Feudalism. Yep. And next, mad magic. When the orcs get angry, they unleash devastating magic onto their enemies. I have a couple of dozen government tables going back to Traveller. Oh, okay. Interesting. Right. Let's just see. Derp. Hello, Derp. Derp is also a patron. Hello, welcome. I hear a bit of static from you. It should not be coming through from my end. It's probably at your end. I did check everything to make sure that I didn't have any problems. If anybody else is noticing that problem, you let me know. But I think it's probably more likely at your end. I did notice when I talked to you, Derp, on video chat that you have a lot of static in your background when I'm listening. I think it's probably your mic cord. Yes, I agree. I think that's probably more likely because, yeah, our conversations have usually been very scratchy, I've discovered. Technology. The orcs power their gear with hamster wheels powered by slaves. Okay, all right. So you clearly want to get started. So let's make that happen. I think it's obvious that we don't want to muck around here. So let's go over to my screen capture, pull this up, and let's make an orc world. Planet of the Orcs. And I think I need to make this bigger because this is not going to work. Okay, that's better. And then if I grab my phone so I can see what you're saying, I can type things in fairly quickly with any luck. And we've got about an hour and 20 minutes or hour and 25 minutes to get it done. Okay, and for those of you who are thinking that is impossible, you cannot create a world in that time frame. Rubbish. Rubbish. Yes, we will. Okay. No static here. Okay, good. All right, so what am I doing? This case is moving around too much. Let's zip it up. Maybe that'll help. Okay, cool. I'm ready. So let's jump over to our workstation and start hitting some ideas. Let's come up with a name for a world. Okay, hashtag name the world or continents. Okay, that's your first point. Let's do this. So while I am formatting and adjusting things, we will just start to get things down. Let's get some stuff down. Okay, here we go. And we'll go there. And we'll bold this, underline, bold and underline. What do you got here? You have a Pierce Anthony Magic of Xanath world, but it's really hard to build and run. Crusher, okay, Crusher it is. We can go Crusher. So and I believe so when we have about five names, we can probably stop. Okay, so just spit out your ideas. Well, I'm just going to chuck everything down. As long as it's not too offensive, I'm not too worried about that at all. Okay, somebody said Xanth. Let's go Xanthia. So we're not pulling directly from Pierce Anthony if we can help it. We've got here. I like that one. Hang on, that's two R's. Grothnag. Grothnag. Okay, I've got Grothnag. Alfred have the same here. Quite a unique world. Yeah, I like Pierce Anthony's books. I mean, they've got a lot of puns in them, but they're really funny. Two R's on purpose. Got it. New Auckland. As in New Zealand. I feel like you're going there. Auckland. Okay, that's 4. Let me get rid of the hat. That'll just affect my ability to actually use my brain as it heats up. Okay, keep punching it in. We need at least one more name. New Auckland could be a continent for all we know. We can make that work. And we'll just drop this down here. I'm going to put in a number. And I will highlight this. Underline it. And how are we doing? How's the ideas? The percolation of that brain going? And we'll just move that across. Waiting for you to come up with another name. I mean, I will add in names if I need to. I just don't want to do that unless it's absolutely necessary. Benro. That's my contribution, Benro. Do you know the name Benro comes from the company name of the slider that my 6K camera is sitting on? That's where I got the name from. I just looked. There it is. There's a name, brand name, bam. Kind of sounds fantasy-like. Chuck it in. It's as simple as that, people. All right, keep going. I'm sure you can come up with some more ideas. Otherwise, we'll move on. Gods. Let's just underline this. Bold underline. Okay. Well, let's. We've got 5. We've got 5 names for our different world, or potentially continents. Okay, we've got one more. There we go. Gobmore. Bingo. So I do this a lot. When I need a name really quickly, this happened to me because I was running a game for my home group. I'm actually running the Hunt for the Thessal Hydra, which is the Stranger Things adventure. I didn't have time to make anything up myself, so I was like, that's fine. I'd read it before, so I knew what to do. And so I literally, when they ask for names, I just think of a name of a person that I've met before, and that's the name I'll use. It's just quick and fast. Okay, let's do some races. We've got a couple of names. Hashtag. What races are in the world? Okay, so we need about 5. Let's say we need 5. Now, obviously, we want to have orc. I think that's a given. We need to have orc. It would be ridiculous to have Planet of the Orcs and not to have orc as a playable species or race or ancestry or whatever the heck you want to call it. So we'll add that one in as well. Okay. Now, oh, what's this? What's this? A Mantelamini. I'm a little lost. Fred, you got me lost. I thought we were dealing with races. We now, for those of you who are wondering, like, how's the easiest way to do that? I honestly just pick up your role-playing game book that you're using, whatever game system, and they usually have species, races, or ancestries, or whatever the heck they call them, in the front of the book somewhere. And you just pick five. Just pick five and put them down, or you make them up. It's as easy as that. Okay, we've got orc, hobgoblin. Let's do hobgoblin. Hobgoblin. Goblin. Well, absolutely. Let's go goblin. Bugbear. Human. Halfling. Okay. Bugbear. Human. We need to have the lesser beings. Halflings. What else? Yes, halflings are always a good food source. Shiner 81. Yes, we got goblin, we've got bugbear. Okay, so we have 6 different species we can work with. Okay. An orc, hobbit crossover, small fiery, eating the kitchen. Okay, we'll just put hobbit. How's that sound? Happy? Hobbit. All right, so that wasn't hard. We know what these are, okay? We don't really need to do very much else than that, okay? We've got what we need. Next, we're going to do some gods or deities. A little trick to dealing with gods and deities. I've kind of already sort of done that with you before. Delete human. No, we're going to leave human. I want the humans are the lesser beings. That's why they're so low down on the list. In fact, they can go right down the bottom. How's that sound? The lesser beings. There we go. You want to put elf? I'll put elf. Here we go. There's elf. We got plenty to start with. We don't have to have all of them. We just need to have some of them. Oh, no. The orcs are trying to wipe out the last remaining humans. How's that sound? I'm leaning very heavily into Planet of the Apes. Okay, Planet of the Orcs. We're gonna say the humans they're all not gone, but they're rare. Okay, a hobork or an orcling. Oh, hobork. Hobork. All right, hobork. Fine, I'll put hobork. I don't know what a hobork is. Hobork. Orcling. Oh, okay, we got it. All right. Mighty. What's this? Dragon. I don't know. Well, let's leave dragons as a playable race off as a race off. We're going to have monsters in here at some point. Let's leave dragons because they're a bit on the strong side. Yeah. Now I know exactly what you're talking about, Charles. The Hobbit. Look, even if I leave the word Hobbit on here, it's probably going to get scrubbed eventually. That's just how I work. Okay, so I know what you're talking about here. I'm pretty sure the orcs would exterminate elves before the humans. Well, let's just say elves are down the bottom here as well. Elves are. We'll put them right down here. Okay, are we happy? Okay, let's create some gods. Hashtag. What are the deities? And we need a name and domain. A name and domain. We've done this before. A name and the domain. A domain of the name. Now, I'm gonna do a little bit of an exercise here with you. For those of you who are stuck and unsure, those people who have done this sort of thing with me before will probably have no problems. But if you do get stuck, there is a easy solution for creating your deities or gods, okay? If you're playing Dungeons and Dragons 5e, grab the 5e Player's Handbook, and in the back you'll find there's a huge list of different gods for various fantasy worlds, but not just fantasy worlds. They also have the Celtic deities, the Greek deities, Egyptian, Norse deities. That's a good start, right? But you also have non-human deities, Eberron. You've got Dragonlance, Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms. These are all potentially, sources that you can pull from. So Shiner 81's first idea, let's get that down. Arokokora. And this is the God of War. Okay. Oh, here we go. We're going to do about 5 and then we'll stop. Remember, we don't need to name all the gods. We just need to have enough to start off with. Yep. Oh, plenty. Bracket slavery, is it? Well, this gives us a something to fight against. The use of slavery in role-playing games is a really good idea because it allows us to role-play what we are often not willing to do in reality, which is fight oppression. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Norok. Gobsmacker. Okay, all right. Gobsmacker. And that is the god of... Do we have some goddesses? Do we have some non-malish things going on here? Or do we just have like the god can take any form sort of thing going on? God of War. And Dominion. Okay. Right, guys. Gobsmacker. I get it. Okay, so Fred Hubbard's got... What is this? How am I supposed to... 1, 2, 3. 3 R's and a G. Oh, blimey, you make it hard. God of pain and death. Do we not have gods of other things? We seem to be on a bender of destruction right now. What have you got, Charles? Have you got something for me? Bruckle Iron Heel. Okay. Bruckle Iron Heel. All right. Okay. There we go. Done. God of strong feet. How do we get strong feet? And travel. Oh, I see. Now I understand. I get it. There seem to be a lot of gods of death and destruction. Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a war of the gods taking place on the planet of the Orcs. Is this Charles? Really? Shagabor. No, I got it wrong. Shagabor. I see what you're doing there. This is like as in shag a boar, like a pig, a wild pig. Is that where we're going there? Encourage. Shag a boar. It almost sounds like Pussy Galore from James Bond. Okay. Exclamation point is part of... Oh, okay. All right. There we go. All right. So we have 6 gods and goddesses. So god and goddess. Okay, cool. Right, let's get on. Let's get on to the next one in our creation story. What is it? Now, I believe somebody had already offered a creation story to me. I will add in any additional stuff you come up with, people, so don't worry too much about that. And let's just smash this. No, that's not right. Okay. There. That's better. World creation story. Somebody has talked something about dandruff. The world was created by a piece of dandruff. I remember seeing it somewhere. So we'll plug that in as well. But I'll put this in. Anna. Alvin. Deity of nature and life. Whoa, got to be a lonely place for that deity. Now, can I find the dandruff comment? It's way near the front here somewhere. Yes, Fred Hubbard and his speck of dandruff. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Since I know that the last time we did world creation stories, they came thick and fast. So let's go straight to my head so I can just copy and paste them over, and then I'll show you what I've done. Because I can see this is going to go very quickly. Noroak, and we'll grab the dandruff one as well. For those of you who are thinking, oh, this is not for me, this is just too silly. Trust me, you're dealing with a fantasy world. You can have as silly as you like. If you've ever seen some of the creation stories that have been presented from other cultures, and you think that creation stories don't get silly, I don't know what you've been paying attention to. You need to do a bit more study, okay? Creation stories get very silly. So, yeah. I mean, apparently New Zealand was pulled up. There was a big fish that got pulled up by somebody when they went fishing. so yes, you can have pretty much anything under the sun. All right, we've got another one. That makes 3. I will have to, of course, go through and cull them because I know that somebody's going to squeeze something in there. So I reckon 5 creation stories is enough, and then after that, jeez, after that we'll move on to the next thing. Okay. Yes, no, I got it. I found it. I did find it. You've plopped it in there. I've got it. It's under control. Okay, let's go back to see if we can't sort of tidy these up fairly quickly. Right, there we go. So we've got 3 so far. You're going to keep throwing things into the chat, I know. Oh, here we go. We're back to gods, are we? Back to gods. All right, we'll add your god in. Well, I'm just glad we're not back to talking about snails. God of pointy hats. Sure. Okay. You want to poke fun at me? Fine. For those of you who do not know, this comment is designed for me. How's it going, Prepare, Cook and Survive? How are you? Prepare, Cook and Survive. This Friday in New Zealand, I will be covering Mork Bork or Merk Borky or whatever the heck you call it. I will be doing a review on it. It's not all good, and it's, yeah, okay. But I'll also be building a character for Mork Bork or Merk Bork as part of the Game Master Roundtable on my Friday, which is your Thursday in North America if you're in North America. And we'll be playing Mork Bork or Merk Bork as part of the Game Master Roundtable get-together. So Friday for me, Thursday for North America, it's Mork Bork or Merk Bork galore. How's it going, Luna? All right, so The world was created by a bunch of gaming nerds having a discussion. Oh, really? Is that what we're adding here? Sure. Dear. Was created by a bunch of game nerds having a discussion. It breaks the fourth wall, doesn't it? All right. Praise. Dog god of barking. Oh, good lord. Did a dog bark outside your house, Fred? Did a dog bark outside your house? And how many R's? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you know how I had mentioned at the very beginning, you do not need to accept all the ideas that come forward. It is all right to decide some of these are just too much and ditch them, okay? I'm going to say it right now. There are some here that are just done in jest. So they would things you are quite happy to just ditch if you want to. Barking. Okay. All right, let's have a look at our world creation stories. The world is the spec of a divine beings, that's a beings, dandruff, and will end when it hits the ground. So, curious and interesting. Next, the world has existed, always existed, and will exist until the last orc dies. Okay. All right, so we've got something going on here. These are definitely very biased and perspective driven, aren't they? There's a lot of fourth wall breaking today going on. Yeah, I'm surprised that people haven't run away by this point. One day, Arg stubbed his toe and dandruff fell from his head, creating the universe, and each dandruff is a world and stars. So I think this here is really this here. So we're going to take this. Have we got something else? Have we got another creation story? Are we done? Okay. Okay. One day Arg stubbed her toe. Fell on her head. Let's go here. Each piece of dandruff is a world and stars. Not a question mark anymore. Okay. We need a dog god. I don't know. Did we really need to have a dog involved? I don't know that we necessarily did. Okay. But hey, you guys are doing the world building, not me. No skin off my nose. The world was created by a bunch of gaming nerds having a discussion. All right, so we need 2 more, and then we're probably good with creation stories. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a question. I know there's no point me going and asking you creation stories now because you might struggle a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll go into locations and I will take a break. By the time I get back, you'll have a bunch of cities and locations. I imagine it'll be just full of all sorts of things. Oh, okay. So we've already got creation stories going. People are just typing them up. Here we go. So what locations in the world are there? Okay, we need a starting location too. Okay, so that's what I want you to work on. You're going to work on that aspect, and I'll come back. And I'm going to, you know I love the pink terraces. I'm going to create the green terraces. Green terraces. I think that's what it's called. Green terraces. what is the green terraces? Multiple levels of green slime near a huge waterfall. That is my landmark. That is my contribution, people. I will let you start coming up with some ideas. I'll be back in 5 minutes or less. I'm going to go and use the toilet. Good luck. Here we go. I see you guys have been very busy. Wow. All right. Let's shuffle over here. And I'm going to type in your ideas very, very quickly. But first, I need to catch up, don't I? So we're going to do... How much more have we got left to do? We've got to do monsters, magic, technology, government. I'm not doing too bad, actually, if you ask me. We can get that done in the next just under an hour. No problems. So the world grew from a moldy apple that a god threw away. The world grew from a moldy fungus covered apple that a god threw away. That's my creation story. How's that sound? Are we happy with that? Okay, I'm going to plant because I'm going to fall behind everything. So now I'm just going to do a lot of cutting and pasting real fast and reading things out as I go. Otherwise, I'm not going to catch up. And right now, I can see that we have more than enough information on locations. So let's do this. And I will do some very quick cut and paste, cut and paste, cut and paste to try to catch up with you. Hi, how's it going, Buried Axe? How you doing? Hi, Pale Rider. Desert with worlds. A desert with multiple world portals. Oh, cool. Okay, let's do that. Let's put that in. That sounds like a cool location. We'll include that. Love it. And then what's next? I'm going backwards, people. So I'm never going to catch up to you. I know this is what will happen. I'm going to give you a new task, and I'll write down the stuff you've got because I can see you've already got more than sufficient. Let's go with hashtag, what monsters, because that's what we want, right? What monsters are in the world? All right, pick some monsters, people, and you're gonna start giving me some monsters. There you go. Let's do some monsters. I'll grab that one. I've got Norok's little contribution there. Let's grab this, stick that in there. The Nautilus Islands, Orc Pirate Haven. Ooh. Too much fun. Too much fun. Okay. Good. Dragons. Yes, I knew Shino was going to go back to dragons. That's fine. We'll do dragons. We should have dragons. We can't not have dragons. That would be silly, wouldn't it? What would be wrong with us if we didn't have dragons? And let's go here. So if you hadn't figured it out, building a world with other people is a lot of fun. Yeti. Okay. Yeti. Dragon. Fae. Somebody said Fae. Not sure exactly what Fae we're talking about here, but I've got those down, don't you worry. Ebenhaven, Dwarf City of Forging. No, Eberhaven is Orc and Dwarf City of Forging from Luna. Alright, let's get that in there. Okay, sweet. And I can barely keep up with everybody. A dying race of owls that the orcs have on the verge of extinction. What does that prepare, cook, and survive? I'm confused. The Orcosaurus flex. I'd say, hello, Oscar. How are you? You're going to have to explain to me. I don't. What is it called? I don't know what it's called. No idea. No idea. Okay, let's drop this idea in here. The Orcosaurus flex, and it's basically a T-Rex on steroids, on orc steroids. Cute. You created a monster. Well done. Salamanders. Fine. We can do salamanders. God. The blank octopus. What? I meant to send you this today. Look up blank octopus. It looks like a cloaker. Does it? There's no point sending me today. Do you know how busy I am on these days when I'm doing these live streams? You're never going to get a hold of me. I'm going to be too busy doing stuff. Dinosaurs in general. Okay, dinosaurs. Fine. We can do dinosaurs in general. You're using 5e hardcore? Ah, okay. All right, copy. I think we've got six. I've got 6 monsters down here so far. I mean, I'll add in the stuff that you've got here, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. A hawk bear instead of an owl bear. Pale Rider, your hawk bear is now a thing. It is now a thing. Let's drop that in. Okay, paste. All right, I think at this point we have got to move on, because otherwise I'm going to fall behind yet again, which of course I already have. For those of you who thought that this was not going to get done in less than an hour and a half, you were so wrong. To be fair, it is much easier to build a world with other people helping you. This is why I suggest people, you build your world with your players. They'll make it so much easier for you. They really will. It's a much better experience. Mutant pigs, oh my, legendary Aarakocra, which was found to be delicious. Okay, I've got a few things to add in here. So hashtag How does magic work in the world? Okay. It's all about magic now. So let's focus on magic, and I will take down the notes that you've already given me. I'll come back to the document very shortly, people. Using Roman, Greek, African, Viking, and many Marine. Okay, all right. It would be awesome to do blood drinking night birds, which exist IRL. We need a name for it. Give me a name for it. Mutant pigs. I can do mutant pigs. We'll drop mutant pigs in there. Hawk, bear, Legends of the Aarakocra. Yep, we can chuck in an Aarakocra. Aarakocra are delicious, aren't they? It's like chicken. Okay. Oops. I need to undo that. Need to make sure I'm not using the... Yeah, there we go. That's better. How are we doing? You can't type it all in an hour and a half. I'm not very good at typing, and also my layouts in front of me is not really designed very well for this. I need to figure out a better way of making that happen. And I'm not a very good typer. It's very hard to type and read at the same time, I've discovered, and focus on trying to do a live stream. I've always found it more difficult. Magic comes from static clinging effect. Oh, good lord, here we go. We've got some bizarre ideas coming now. If you thought their things were strange before, they're getting more strange. Magic comes from the static clinging affecting Arag dress. I thought you were going to say the dandruff. Powered by the dandruff of the world. Okay. The more an angry an individual gets, the stronger and effective. Yeah, exactly. So let's chuck in Norok's idea. The more angry an individual gets, the stronger the destructive magic they can channel. Well. Oh my. Magic is a beautiful thing, powered through confidence, practice, and can be called con art. Okay, Charles, all right, I got it. I'm clicking this. I'm just collecting this now. It's a very Oceans 8, Oceans 10, Oceans 11 feel. Magic is a beautiful thing powered through confidence. Practices can be called con artists. Oh, brilliant. Okay, what else have we got here? Some orcs are spawning twitching with crossed crazy eyes and oculate birthmarks. They are the spellcasters of the land. Okay, all right. Oh dear. You gotta love world building live streams. I tell you, we have too much fun. The ley lines of the earth, ether, and an ear, in the ear. I am lost as to what that's supposed to mean. Again, Luna, you've got to give me a little bit more information. You know what you're trying to communicate, but I don't. So I need you to actually be a bit clearer. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay, next. Tell an Aarakocra that something tastes like chicken and they go berserk. Okay. Magic comes from deities. Oscar. Yep. Magic can come from 8 deities. So copy. We've got probably enough stuff around magic. Whenever an individual farts, a random magical effect occurs. Oh my gosh. That's very orc-like, isn't it? So gas is what powers their magic. Flatulence. That is very orcish. Like the traumatic, but it's enhanced by certain things. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna have to change the topic and slow you down because I'm not keeping up. Magic is a force like electromagnetic. Magnetism, but is enhanced by certain things. Okay, so let's get you onto a different topic very quickly before we wind up going out of control here. I'm trying. I'm not going to keep up. I can see that now. Hashtag. What technology is in the world? What is it? Okay. Let's do the technology thing. Okay, and I'll try to keep up with the other things. Throw stone. There's only one spell, throw stone. Oh, that seems very restrictive. I don't know. Do we really want to restrict magic that way? If you wanted to, you could. I'll put the idea down. Throw a stone. Bacon is the ultimate healing food. Bacon is the ultimate healing food. I suppose it could be. Bacon's really expensive now in New Zealand, so I'm like, not that I can eat bacon. Too much trouble, unfortunately, for me. Let's go here. Bold underline. No. Phew. Okay, all right, so you guys are doing technology. I'm trying to write down the last of the magic stuff. Steam powered, here we go. It's the hamster wheel, the slave hamster wheel is returning. So, ether is the air. The gods breathe in the upper sky back into Greek mythos. What? Is the air, the gods breathe in the upper sky. Okay, all right. Okay. Right, copy. Take that, Luna. Magic. Magic is spirits leading people's powers. Is spirits lending people powers. Okay, that's there's enough magic stuff going on there to last us to the end of time. I will add a contribution as well. If enough sentient creatures believe something, it comes true. It's very much an idea that comes from Warhammer 40k and Warhammer and Games Workshop. It's very much in that vein. Okay, right. Holy, oh dear. Okay, so I think technology is. Are we almost done with technology? Let me just start typing some of this stuff down. Hamster wheel. We'll add in the hamster wheel. God, I can't believe this. Slave hamster wheels generate electrical energy. Yes, of course. Well, poor hamsters are going to have a hard time. You can't slow us down once. No, I can't, and I'm not going to try to. There's no point. Why would I bother? What was my point? What's the title of this? Quick world building? Yeah. If you want to build a world really quickly, build it with a group of people. Your group of people. You can do it. You and your players, you'll get it done. It'll happen really fast. Steam power, but it hasn't been used for locomotion yet. So we got steam power, but no locomotion. Love it. Spirit powers. Okay, orcs. Orcs hated humans. Technology is so that they have to reduce it to fire, leather, kidnapped stones, and crushed wood. What? Okay, orcs hate him, so they have reduced it to Reduced it to fire. Okay, all right. I think we'll keep that. That's pretty funny. Get rid of it. Flame on. In the world, there is basic technology, but very advanced lost technology can be found. Okay, so let's see here. Let's go. Copy. Whew. Keeps coming up with something else. I'm just hoping this doesn't cause me some problems. This has done this before. Very advanced lost technology can be found. Technology. Okay. All right. That's all right. We almost. I think we're on steampunk type technology, but it's smashed together with a hammer. Okay, you gotta smash it with, really? Smash it with a hammer always works. Steampunk type technology, but smashed together with a hammer. Right, so it's not pretty. If you hit something hard enough, it'll work. Use of evil disproved technologies is punishable by being next week's sacrifice on the spire. Okay, Fred, I'm taking it. It's going in. I just got to turn it into a sentence. The use of unapproved technologies is punishable by being next week's sacrifice on the spire. Okay, got it. It's down. We've got it in there. There is no consistent technology. Orcs hate learning. Really? I don't know that I believe that. Okay, paste. Okay, there is no consistent technology. Orcs hate learning, so each machine they create is unique. No replicating, at least not exactly. All right, okay, interesting. Okay, technology. Oscar, what have you got here, Oscar? Let's drop this in. I think we're ready to move on to government. Technology, medieval one, at most magical artifacts. Medieval. It doesn't tell us very much, but okay. Okay, let's just go here. It's actually magic. Okay, so I got that in. All right, let's do government because yeah, I think we've got plenty of technology stuff here. Hashtag. What types of government is there, and what is it called? Do I have that? What types of government is there, and what is it called? There we go. Let's do that. Let's get that down. That is the last of our tasks, but not the last of my tasks. Though, if you're caught using elven technology, you are executed on the spot. You don't even get to be a spire sacrifice. If you're caught using elven technology, you are executed on the spot. Okay, let's just grab that. Okay. Wow. What a rough world. Technology is a bit of a thing, isn't it? All right, so let's deal with some governments. I covered governments before, so if you were stuck, I'm happy to go over them, but if you're not stuck, just fire out some ideas and I will type them down. And okay, so I want to add something to technology to myself while you guys are chucking stuff in here. A drink of water. Man, you guys have been working so fast. So quick. Okay, so if you're caught using elven technology, so now here's it. If enough orcs think something is cool, it works better. No, that's not what I was. Okay, now here we go. This is what I wanted to say. Orcs insist on painting cool pictures on their technology vehicles and weapons. There we go. If it doesn't look cool, it's not acceptable. It's a very orcish thing. Oh my, here we go. So we've you guys are already done. You've already got all the government stuff done. How did that happen? Let me guess. Strongest orc in the boss. Yeah. Prepare, cook, and survive. I would agree. I'd say that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, absolutely. The biggest, strongest orc is the boss till beaten by another. That's how you govern it. That's orc. Biggest, strongest orc in the orc is the boss till beaten by another. So that's one of our potential governments. The High Priestess. Okay, let's grab Fred Hubbard's idea here. The High Priestess likes air conditioning, so she put that on the approved list for her temple only. Oh, this is relating to technology, an air conditioner. I feel like that's a fourth wall breaker again. We've got a lot of fourth wall breaking going on today, people. Democratic theocracy. How can you have that? You're going to combine two. You're going to combine two of the... How is that supposed to work? I am curious. A democratic theocracy. Magocracy. So basically a government of mages. Oh, of course. It's always the mages that are in power, isn't it? Until they get their heads lopped off. Magocracy. All right, we've got the magocracy there. Thank you, Luna. And a big boss is the strongest orc. Okay. Oscar's got his contribution there. All right, we're almost done. Big boss. The stronger the orc, the more territory and orcs they control. Okay. Okay, the stronger orc in the world is known as the big boss. Of course it is. Let's keep it simple. Do we need to have fancy names? No, we don't. Or is it just magical powers in charge? I think what you had is fine. We're all good. Charles? Plutocracy? Okay. You've got here, richest orc leads the nation. Change and leadership can be frequent and confusing. Yeah, that seems very appropriate. That seems very, very appropriate. Okay. We already have some law for the important locations, the spire. Yes, I've got to go back and deal with a lot of that other stuff. So you... government. As each civilization was emperors, kings, and chiefs tribes. I'm a little, okay, so I've got to rewrite this a little bit. A little lost on what you were trying to communicate there. Let's put that in. I think we have enough governments. I really do. I really do. So, each civilization has emperors, kings, and chiefs, and chief tribes. And chief tribes. No, chiefs. Let's do that. There we go. That's makes a bit more sense. Okay, cool. All right. All right. What have I missed along this way that I was supposed to catch up on, which I might have not been able to get to? I believe it was locations. I think I missed a lot of your location stuff. So let me just port this across. Let's find locations. Locations, that's technology. I got all of that stuff. How the magic works. We've got magic stuff all down. We've got all of the animal creatures, monsters, and so forth you wanted to include. Monsters, locations. Okay, so there are a lot of places that you guys have suggested. So the Kingdom of Eternal War, Orctopia. Noroc's contribution is Orctopia. Nice. Orctopia. Okay, let's put that in. So I thought we've already got enough locations, but I'll try to get them all down, okay, people? So just bear with me while I pump these in here. A lot of copy and pasting very, very fast. What's this? Grothanagia, the capital city of Orcs. All right, yep. We have an Orc city. I can't pronounce it very well, but the Slaying Sands, a vast desert filled with dangerous monsters. Norok, let's see, where are we going to put this? Okay. All right, nice. Not bad, pretty good. And we are talking about orcs right now, like big one, green ones, less non. Okay. Okay, all right, so we want a temple. Fred's temple is going in. Well, there's a lot of ideas here. What's this? Scrape of the city of sketchy machinery crafting. Jeez. All right. As in skyscraper, right? Yeah. The Crackling Lands by Shiner. Let's put Shiner's one in. Okay. And of course there's the weekly sacrifice by the impaled. Right, yes, okay. Course. Prepare, cook, and survive. I'm going to have to read this one very carefully before I include it. I can see that now. You guys came up with so many ideas. So, Orcaria, the phallic rock structure that spawns the pus-ridden orclings into existence. Oh, it's gruesome. Okay, the Crackling Lands, an area of dirt where lava rivulets scour the earth. Okay, all right. Let's see, what else have I got here? Halfling Hills. by Norok. We'll put that in. It's rather... Halfling Hills, a farm of halflings. Are we farming halflings to be eaten, or is it controlled by halflings and they run the farm? Like, you know, you've got to be clear about these things. Next. Oh my. Desert of Worlds. Yeah, I've got that one down. I think I've got that one down. Okay, so I think I caught up with all of that stuff. Oh, okay, here we go. Let's go here. All right, so I want to take you over to what we have. I've tried to collect all your ideas together as quickly as possible. No, that's not right. Haven. Haven. Island of the humans and orcs. An orcs called by name that is now allowed by the... Okay. This is confusing. Island of the island of humans. Humans. Last refuge. Okay. There. Last refuge. That's what we'll do. Okay. All right, let's have a look at this world that we've been working on. Okay, let's switch over and let's show you the whole thing. So in less than an hour and a half, the community and you have come up with various... Now, how can I show it to you, don't I? It is showing. It should be showing. It's just not showing on my phone because my phone is behind. The phone is behind. Here we go. So, Planet of the Orcs. We have various names for the actual name of the planet. If you want to add in more, feel free to do so, and I'll chuck them in. Okay, we've got 6 possible names. I'm feeling like Gobmore is probably at the top of my list, just because I can actually pronounce it. New Orkland. I feel like New Orkland is a continent for me. You know. Next, we have some races. So we've selected Orc, Hobgoblin, Goblin, Bugbear, Halfling, Hobbit, Human, Hobork, Elf. So there's plenty of races to select from. And in Worlds, Crusher, Xanthia, Grothnar, New Orkland, Bendro, and Gobmore. I think Gobmore is my favourite name here out of all of these. Next, our gods and goddesses. We have Arakora, god of war, Vang, god of plenty and slavery, Gobsmacker, god of war and domination, Arg, goddess of pain and death, Bruckle Ironheel, god of strong feet and travel, Shagarbor, goddess of leadership and courage, Arana, elven deity of nature and life, Rumlet, god of pointy hats, Ruffy, dog god of barking. God, geez. Yeah, you guys are, I mean, really, dog of barking, god of barking. Anyway, so world creation stories. We have a few here. The world is a speck of a divine being's dandruff and will end when it hits the ground. Each piece of dandruff is a world and stars. The world has always existed and will always exist until the last orc dies. Lovely. Okay, we've got that one. The world was created by a bunch of game nerds having a discussion. I feel like our weakest location is definitely world creation stories. Our world creation stories, I'm going to say it, people, you're just not good enough. Like, what were you doing? How come I've only got 4? One of these is my idea. Like, I mean, everything else was easy. Hashtag Where are the good world creation stories? Cool, with all the cool ideas. I don't know. I feel it's lacking. The world grew from a mouldy fungus-covered apple that a god threw away. That is my suggestion. Anyway, moving down, we have location, settlements, and cities. There's a lot here. Green terraces, multiple levels of green slime near a huge waterfall. That is my contribution. Desert of worlds, a desert with multiple world portals. The Nautilus Isles. Orc Pirate Haven, Ember Haven, the Orc and Dwarf City of Forging, Orctopia, the Kingdom of Eternal War, Grothnaga, the capital city of Orcs, the Slaying Sands, a vast desert filled with dangerous monsters, Aragathania Spire, the main temple of Arag, Scraper, city of sketchy machinery crafting, the Cracked Lands, an area of desert where lava rivulets scour the earth. Orcaria, the phallic rock symbol that spawns the pus-ridden Orclings into existence. Halfling Hills, farm of halflings. Don't tell me what we're actually farming here. Haven, the island of humans, their last refuge. Okay, so that there's our locations. Our monsters, we have Yeti, Dragon, Fae, the Orcosaurus Flex, which is basically a T-Rex on orc steroids, the Salamander, dinosaurs, the Hawk Bear, mutant pigs, Aarakocra. You're welcome to add more monsters if you want. Yes, and the world was created in about an hour and 15 minutes. Next, magic. Magic comes from the static clinging effect affecting Arag's dress, which is strange as an idea. The more angry an individual gets, the stronger the destructive magic they can channel. Magic is a beautiful thing, powered through confidence. Practitioners can be called con artists. Some orcs spawned twitching with crazy eyes and oculate birthmarks. They are the spellcasters of the land. Okay, all right. Next, leylands of the air in the air, or in the area. I'm not sure what to do with this. Magic comes from deities. Whenever an individual farts, a random magical effect occurs. Magic is a force like electromagnetism, but is enhanced by certain things. There's only one spell, throw rock. Bacon is the ultimate healing food. Magic is spirits lending people powers. If enough sentient creatures believe something, it comes true. This is magic. Okay, technology. Our technology is, here we go, hamster wheel. So a slave hamster wheel generating electricity. Okay, steam power that hasn't been used for locomotion yet. Orcs hate human technology, so they have reduced it to fire. Very advanced lost technology can be found. Steampunk type technology, but smashed together with hammers, with a hammer. The use of unapproved technologies is punishable by being next week's sacrifice on the spire. There is no consistent technology. Orcs hate learning, so each machine they create is unique. No replicating, at least not exactly. Technology medieval. If you are caught using elven technology, you are executed on the spot. Orcs insist on painting cool pictures on their technology vehicles and weapons. The high priest likes air conditioning, so she can put that on the approved list for her temple only. I think that's breaking the fourth wall quite a bit there. Next, government. The biggest, strongest orc is the boss till beaten by another. A democratic theocracy, which don't ask me how that's supposed to work. Magocracy, which is basically government by mages. Big boss, the stronger the orc, the more territory, the more orcs they control. The strongest orc in the world is known as the big boss. The plutocracy. Richest orc leads the nation. Change in leadership can be frequent and confusing. Each civilization has emperors, kings, and chiefs. Okay, wow. And so if anybody said you cannot possibly create a world in about an hour and a half, I'm going to tell you now, oh yes you can. Oh yes you can. It can be done. It is here. And for those of you who are patrons, yes, it will wind up on Patreon. And if I forget to put it on Patreon, you will remind me, okay? Uh, this has probably been one of the fastest and most outrageous things we've done in a little while. This reminds me the time we did the snail world. Do you remember making the snail world? Where everything, all the technology, all the magic was revolving around snails. The world was sort of dominated by snail power. Anyway, let me just have a quick look up here. I don't know about that. I'm hoping people had a good time. Hello, Jasper. How you doing? The land is the ground, but bones of the dead god, and the oceans and seas are its blood. Well, Jasper, let's take your idea. I think that is a suitable. That's a suitable creation story. Let's put that in there. That gives us number 5. Number 5. The land is the ground up bones of the dead god, and the oceans and seas are its blood. Oh, very appropriate. Very appropriate. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, Charles has got another one here as well. All right, so I'm literally, I will have to go to work very, very soon, people, and I am shift supervisor for the next 3 days, so I cannot afford to be late. The world was created out of the second-hand spare parts of the gods. Roughly 5 days after every other world was made, this has made a lot of orcs angry at being thought of so late. thought of last. That they are last. Okay, I got there. All right. Okay, so we're gonna have to. There's a few ideas that people have brought in here. So let's chuck these down now quickly before I run out of time. The earth was created when a god picked his nose and flicked the snot into the cosmos. It is such an orc story. I mean, it is so orky. Was thinking the same. Good call, Shine. Ah, dear. And we got Norok's got an idea here. We'll chuck this in as well. Oh my. Okay, so we've got enough now. Okay, I take it back. You've come up with some good ones. The world was created by blood of the last elven god slain by the orc gods. All right. Are we done? A fungi parasite and fungus creatures. Okay. So we're going to add that to monsters. Okay, Luna, we're adding it to monsters. Can I find them? Races, monsters. They're in here somewhere. Okay, I've added it. All right. Okay. It is most chaotic world we've ever created. Absolutely. So have you did spell creation and feats? Now we did how magic works, but not spell creation. And no, we haven't done feats. Remember, world creation is not creating feats. Creating feats is game mechanics. It's not world creation. Okay, that's a different thing. Okay, so don't put that on the list for your world creation. Spell creation, how you create spells, that's a different thing again. We've got how magic kind of works, but the actual mechanics behind spell creation, that's a different thing. Okay, the mushroom rule was fun too. It was. Bones and blood. You want to do bones and blood? Okay, interesting. Hey, I do appreciate everybody hanging out. You've all worked very, very hard. I love the ideas. It has been hilarious to write it all up, and I'll try to make sure this is all finalized and complete. Because yeah, it looks awesome. It's so interesting what you've done. In any case, I've got to get going. You've got to get going. And I will be back. Tomorrow I'm talking about the Bane Swan from Esper's Emporium of Esoterica. And for those of you who are familiar with my monster creation live streams, I've decided we're going to create a monster after I cover the Bane Swan tomorrow. So part of the workshop, instead of working on the tables that we've been doing, we're going to use the tables, and we're going to roll up some monsters. I'm going to get you to roll some percentile dice. So bring your dice along. You'll need your percentile dice. You'll need all of your dice, I think. And we're going to roll up a whole lot of stuff. Monster special abilities, traits, motivations, origins, everything. Monster layers, what they look like, all that stuff. We'll do that randomly and see how it kind of comes out. And I'll bring some artificial AI software program to actually draw something for us. I don't know how well that's going to work, but we'll see. In any case, it should be a fun time. Make some monsters. That's what we'll do. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. I want to say thank you to everybody who took part today. You were fabulous. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for taking part in the poll. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for watching and listening. It's been wonderful. I can't thank everybody in the live chat because there's so many of you. It would take me forever, okay? But I can assure you I will work very hard to make sure this goes up onto the Patreon, which is pretty cheap because I don't have tiers. I don't do that. So wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the night, or the wee morning, afternoon, the morning, afternoon, or night, yeah, something like that. Sometime during the day, wherever you are in the world, look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And if you've got orcs, it's not my problem. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.